Execution is easy if you work hard at it, and hard if you work easy at it. So you have to execute as with every single clear intent that you have in order to be aligned.
This is Growth in Dentistry, a dental intelligence podcast where we ask the question, what does growth in dentistry look like to you? I'm Katie Polson, a dental hygienist and your host.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Growth in Dentistry. I am Katie Polson, and we are continuing our conversation, second episode in on dental marketing. And we are so excited to have the dental marketer, Michael Arias. I did it the way that I wanted.
I can tell halfway you're like,
I don't know. Okay, guys, we went back and forth on and he doesn't care how we say his last name, and I wanted to say with an accent that I don't have, so that was really great. Anyway, so glad to have you here. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Give us a little background on who you are, why you're the dental marketer.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. So, like I said before, it's more like the company, right? That's the dental marketer. What I specialize is in more me personally, and because we have something called the Dental Marketing University, where a lot of people, members can go in there and just learn, right, about ground marketing and everything like that, and other forms of marketing, hybrid scheduling, dropping PPO insurances. But my specialty is ground marketing. That's how I started out. I worked for a practice here in California. She's like, "Hey, I just need new patients ASAP." And I didn't know anything about, digital marketing, SEO and things like that. I'm still not an expert at that. But I did know, like, okay, I got to go get these people somehow. And a little bit backtrack, I was a nutritionist. So I worked in a lot of health and wellness facilities, clinics. I worked in gyms, right? A lot of my clients came from there. So I was like, I know how to go into these locations and get people, right? So that's what I did. The first thing was like, I went to locations like gyms, LA Fitness, the 24-hour fitness. I went to other places, clinics, small businesses. And I would just literally switch out scripts that I would say with fitness facilities, but like with, like dentistry.
Yeah.
And it kind of didn't work at all, like at first. And so I was like, okay, I really need to figure something out here. And then little by little, it started working, and I started bringing in people just like that in real time through ground marketing. Other practices wanted to know how we were doing it. They wanted to hire me. So I worked with them. Then I got spread too thin. And then I said, I'm just going to put a blog out there and write everything. So if you look at like the very first articles on our website, it's like how to get into Costco, how to get into this bakery, right? Like all these locations. And to be very honest with you, Katie, I got tired of typing. And then I just was like, let me start a podcast. It's so much easier, right?
I've been there, man. Writing is not for the faint of heart.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember starting the podcast, the Dental Marketer podcast, and thinking like, I am the only dental podcaster out there. Nope. I was like, at that time, it was Dental Hacks was out there, Gary Takis, other ones, right? But anyways, if you listen to the first.
Yeah. And just so you know, people, there's 150 plus out there. So I'm not telling you to jump ship here, but there's a lot. There's 150 dental podcasts.
Shut up. Are you serious?
I'm not kidding.
Oh my gosh, man. So that's insane.
I did my research before we started this baby. And I'm telling you, it's real. There's a lot of people talking about teeth. It's insane.
Yeah. That's good. That's good that you did your
research.
It's good that I didn't, because then I would have been like, there's enough already. I don't need to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I started that, and then same thing. I shared first couple episodes. I shared my tactics, and then after that, I was like, "What are other people doing?" Right. So I interviewed dentists around here, and I wanted to know what they do to get new patients, and then it just started growing from there. Like I think 5 years from now it's where we skyrocketed. Right. It's created other podcasts. I'm probably contributing more to the 150 than
that's okay.
But, yeah.
I don't know. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a really great space to be in. And it's awesome. It really is. So, and we have a great profession, and there's so much to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's it. That's basically it. Now we're here. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So you mentioned ground marketing, and that's what we want to talk about today. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the term ground marketing, because that's something that maybe those of you just starting out, an idea of maybe I should market my practice now. Like, what is ground marketing, and why is it important to a dental practice?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I remember reading some books about guerrilla marketing, and then I would also read other branding books, and I'm like, I'm gonna call this different. I'm gonna call it like ground marketing, right? And so we called it ground marketing, but it's a more sophisticated way of guerrilla marketing. So it's not just going in. If you're thinking like, okay, I'm gonna go into these businesses, bring a gift basket, whatever, and then just kind of say like, hey, I'm the dentist right down the road. I'm new. I just want to introduce myself. Here's some donuts, and then here's some referral pads. That's nice and all, but you're just hoping at that moment that somebody will come to you later on and see your stuff, and hope really doesn't pay the bills, right? Yeah. It's more like I need exact results. So you got to go into these locations and you're walking out with either names and numbers, or you're walking out with, okay, we're going to come back, schedule an event, lunch and learn. We're doing something with you guys so that not only are we building like rapport, but you're getting like cheeks and seats. You're getting butts in chairs, right? So that's the whole gist of everything. And everything is different. Going to a restaurant, getting the employees to come from there is different from going to an LA Fitness and getting the members from coming there. It's different from going to a daycare, school, small businesses, Amazon fulfillment centers, corporations, right? All these locations are different, and they all require specific strategies, but in a sophisticated way, right? And it doesn't require you to, oh, I got to spend tons and tons of money or anything like that. No, this is for the people who are like, I am low on money. I am low on my marketing budget, but I need butts in chairs fast. And so that's what this is. That's what ground marketing is. That's what it's for. You need to go out there, execute.
Yeah. It's a lot. I don't know. Would you say it's like I almost feel like ground marketing feels like word of mouth marketing in a way. Like it's like a one step up from that. I don't know. When you were talking, I was like, this kind of feels like word of mouth marketing as well, that you're like going straight to where the people are, as opposed to just waiting for online to do that, or your paid ads to do that. So perfect. What are some really some common mistakes that people are making when they kind of try to dip their toe into this form of marketing, have you found?
That's a good question. Common mistakes is, I mean, things have kind of changed a little bit since COVID, right? Since the pandemic happened. Before, I remember we were able to go in, or we were just able to call places like a grocery store and say like, hey, look, I just want to go in and give your employees some freebies and things like that. Can I just set up a little small booth in the lunchroom while people kind of come in during the lunch break and give it out? First, that was super easy. Now they're like, oh, freebies? No, we don't want that. Prefer to say hygiene kits now. Now you say hygiene kits, that speaks, oh my gosh. They're like, oh, you're taking care of us. You're trying to maintain our employees and everything clean, right? You kind of have a little bit more weightier of an entrance when you say hygiene kits, what they really are called, instead of just freebies. So that's something we realized with like hotels. Like Hilton's, Marriott's, things like that, right? We realized that with restaurants. We realized that with small businesses and grocery stores. Use the word hygiene kits, right? Another thing is going in with every single, like the same thing, same strategy with every single separate business. It doesn't work that way, right? Like you go into a car dealership, Honda dealership, try and get the employees to come there. It's not going to work the same way as you go into like a Walmart, right? Or the warehouse of a logistics center, right? So all these things are different. So what I recommend is you first and foremost make a list of a specific type of businesses you want to go to, so that it's easy as going onto Google and then just type in medical centers near me, right? Or gyms near me or whatever, right? And then it's going to click on maps. You're going to see like a bunch of dots, red dots and everything like that on Google Maps. Then you just write it down, write everything down, the ones you want to go to. And then from that point on, now you have a specific list that you can go and use the same strategy just for one, right? You're not going to like a bakery and then all these places. You're just wasting a lot of energy that way. Although it's in the same strip, maybe you're wasting a lot of energy that way. And you might.
That's good advice. Do you have a mile radius to the office that you suggest?
Yeah, it all depends on the practice. So like if it's in a rural area, right? Like meaning it's people from like 3 towns come all the time to your practice. It's a little bit different, right? Here, like if we're in Beverly Hills, if it's like a little bit further down, even if it shows like, oh, it's only like a couple miles away, but with traffic, it's going to be like an hour and something. So they're like, no, we're not going to go down that way. So it all depends on your practice. I would honestly say anything further out than like 30 minutes of drive time might be a little bit iffy for the person, right?
Okay.
But other than that,
yeah, that's a good measurement. 30 minutes of drive time, especially since we've got you're going to be a place where they're going to be coming frequently, right? And so it's not, you don't have to have them thinking about, oh, okay, well, I've got to make this drive again, and then again after I get my second fitting for my crown or whatever it is. So yeah, that's really great. And then can we just get a little bit more granular on that? Like an example of if you're going, because I can see it working really well going into like a medical spa or something really close to you, and you both kind of refer each other your patients. But how is that different than maybe going to a retailer or like a tire shop or whatever it is? Like you say that you need to be careful on your messaging, but what does that mean?
Yeah. So for $5.99 you can go. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, this is
no, I'm just totally kidding. Like, let me give you an example. Can I give maybe two?
Yeah.
So what's the nearest bank near you right now?
I don't know, probably Chase or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chase is a good one. So let's just say, and with ground marketing, I want you guys to understand, like, keep it casual and simple, right? You're going to learn a lot and you want to add things every day, but don't they say like to obtain knowledge, you add things every day? To obtain wisdom, you subtract things every day. So learn to subtract, right? Once you hear like these scripts. So you're walking into the bank, literally nothing in hand. You're not walking in there with like clipboards and everything. And you just walk in and stand there for, normally in a bank, somebody's going to walk up to you and be like, hi, can I help you? Do you have an appointment, whatever, right? And then you're going to say, oh yeah, I just wanted some of your information. If I can have it, please. And they're gonna be like, what kind of information? What do you need? What is this for? What are you looking for? And they're like, I'm with the dental office right down the street, and I wanted to see if I can have some of your information on hand for our patients. That way I can give them a little bit more payment options for their treatments. And then they're like, oh my gosh, yes, you need to speak to our loan officer. You need to speak to this person. You need to speak to that person. Come here, sit down, right? They're going to treat you wonderfully. And then you just go along with it. Create some small talk. Go sit with them, talk with them, be like, oh, is it normally busy this time around? Like in Chase, even though if it's super dead, just create small talk. Then they're going to give you a folder with like a bunch of their information, maybe the guy's business card. Just say, okay, you know what? This looks like enough. Thank you so much. Hey, you know what? Would it be okay, Katie, if I came by and gave you guys some freebies, some of our information as well, just for you and the employees? They're going to, in the history of history, nobody's ever said, no, just take my stuff. I don't want your stuff, right? They're going to be like, yeah, sure. Come by and bring me some of your stuff. You go to the car and have this stuff. I wouldn't recommend you have all this stuff in your office because because if you go to the office, you might get busy, come back, the person's not there. Who knows? So you just go to the car, you grab maybe a couple flyers or whatever you want. But here's the key though. You grab maybe 2 or 3 hygiene kits, never more than 5, even if it's in a place of like 1,000 employees, never more than 5 hygiene kits. But you grab like maybe 5 hygiene kits, a couple flyers, and you have a sign-up sheet, an actual physical sign-up sheet. You walk in and you're like, hey, here's some of our freebies. And what I wanted to do, or what the doctor and I wanted to do just for the employees here and the families, is we wanted to give you, boom, an incentive, right? And the incentive is on the top of the sheet with the practice name. And then it's numbered from 1 to 10. If it's a normal piece of paper, it's 1 to 10. Name, number, either best time to reach you at or text or call, right? They have to circle 1. And then just say, let's just say it's free whitening. What the doctor and I wanted to do is just give you and your families here some free whitening, just for you guys, just for this month. Okay. And all you got to do is put your name and number now. When would be a good day to come back and pick it up? And here's where you kind of determine if they're going to be good. They're like, come back tomorrow. You're probably going to see like 1 to 3 names on there, but if they're like, you know what, come back next Monday. That way all the employees will have seen it. Then they're going to be like, okay, great. Wonderful. You come back next Monday, you're going to see quite a bit of names, right? And you continue to grow the relationship that way. You come back again, things like that. So that's the bank strategy, right? But do you see how like that didn't cost you anything?
No. No. And then, and I mean, the goal of at least a dental practice, is to help your community, right? And if that, and that's really you being in relationship with the businesses around you is extending that goodwill towards your community members. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love it.
exactly. And can I share one other one really
Yeah.
quick to show you
Yeah.
the contrast? So the apartments, right? Like I'm sure everybody has apartments. A lot of places have apartments where they're at. Some places maybe not, but apartments are a great pool of patience. A lot of people. And all you have to do, you can do this literally right now. You can press, as soon as you hear this, you can press pause and do it. Just pick up the phone and you're going to call whatever apartment. You can Google apartments near me, whatever, right? Call them and say, hi, I was wondering, by any chance, do you guys have new move-in packets, right? First and foremost, you want to say like, hey, I was wondering if I could speak to the property manager. They're like, this is the property manager. Cool. Hey, do you guys distribute new move-in packets to your residents? Now they're either going to say, yes, we do, or no, what is that? What is that? And it's like, oh, stuff you give to your new move-ins, your families who just moved in. You know how like a lot of the times you give them information. Do you guys distribute packets like that? And they're going to say, yeah. And you say, cool. How could we participate in that? You see, we're with the dental office, like literally right next to you. And I want everybody to say that, even if they're like 10 minutes away. I just want you to say, we're literally like right next to you guys. And I wanted to see if we can, give you guys some stuff, some freebies for the residents there and you as well. And they're gonna be like, yeah, let's see how we can make that happen. Let's do that. Cool. And then boom, that opens up a humongous door for you because you walk in, you give them specific, I would say, flyers just for the new move-ins, right? I remember speaking with Aaron Boone, and he says every single flyer should have 3 types of offers: one for insurance patients, one for cash patients, and one big case offer, right? Like free implant, consultation, or whatever, right? And so maybe you can have that specifically for the new move-ins, right? And then at the same time, you always want to ask every single apartment complex, once they say yes, to the new move-in packets and everything like that. Hey, do you guys do any events for your residents? Almost all apartments do. They do like a wine and cheese day. They do Valentine's, or they do a pool party for their residents, whatever, right? And say, cool, could we participate in that? Could we just like give all the residents here some free toothbrushes, toothpaste, floss, things like that? Set up a little booth. We can talk to them, it'll be cool. And they're like, yeah, definitely. That makes their event look way better, right?
Right.
So they're going to be super down with that. Now you have face-to-face time with the residents. And then third, what you can do is say, hey, I want to leave a sign-up sheet just for the employees and their families. That way you can get people immediately within the week, right?
Yeah.
So once you drop off the new move-in flyers, once you ask about the events, then you can be like, man, thank you. Look, as a thank you, what I want to do is I want to just give everybody here, the employees, this, right? And I can come back next week and pick it up. And they're like, yeah, definitely cool. So now you have 3 things going on for you in that one complex. And imagine doing that with every single complex in your community. Like, you're busy forever. Like there's no need for you would really have to hire a separate ground marketer. A lot of our members do that. But I think those 2, you see how you couldn't do the same strategy for both, right? Totally different. But you didn't spend any money. You didn't do a lot, right? It's just totally different strategy. So yeah.
So good. And thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, I realize this is part of your secret sauce. This is like what you guys do, right? But,
I mean, there's really no secret sauce. So it's just like, we have to execute. You just got to go out there and do it.
It's part of, there's one thing about saying it, but there's another. I just love that you give them what to say because I think, well, definitely we are living in a society now, any generation below mine, like has a really hard time talking to people in person. And so like a script for some people is really good because then they're like, okay, I can do that. I can get out and say that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's so good. So you do that, you do the ground marketing. We're big metric and data people here. It's what we love. It's what we base everything on. What metrics do you measure? Because sometimes with marketing, it's hard to see if it's working. If that makes sense, like you have to be able to measure it to see if it's working. So what metrics do you guys use to, I guess, evaluate if your ground marketing is working?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually, Katie. So like, honestly, the way we measure it is like, are people coming in like from our efforts, right? Like where did you go this week? Oh, we went to Costco. We went to 4 banks. We went to 5 apartment events. We went to, I don't know, another location we went to a hotel to do a lunch and learn, right? Who came in from those locations within like this month or this next 2 weeks, right? So, okay, this person came in, right? That's how we kind of determine it. Then we determine were they great patients? Did they need a lot of treatment? Are they getting it done? Or did they just come in for the incentive and then that's it? That, you know what I mean? And if so, they came in for the incentive, maybe we can calm it down a little bit there, right? If they didn't, then we can continue with going there, building rapport and so forth. Did we get referrals from these people too as well, right? Did more of their employees come in, things like that? Because although it doesn't cost a lot of money to do this, it costs a lot of effort and time, right? And so it's easy to make things look like they're working when you're busy. But if they're not being productive, then you're doing nothing, right? Like
great. So track it based off of the new patients that are coming in. And one of the ways that you could do that is putting, if you're using a practice management solution to do that, you can just make sure that you have those fields put in there, right? So they're tracking like where they came in that's new, right? Or tracking on a sheet, whatever it is, but track that. And then making sure they're good patients, like they didn't just come in and then also referrals. Those are great. Yeah. Because for sure, I mean, you want the new patient. You don't want to continue to go after a yoga studio or whatever, or physical, gyms or whatever, if you're constantly just giving whitening away and they're not good patients for you in that area.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. You're 100%. Because like, let me give you an example really quick. There was a university we would go to and we would get a ton of patients from them. But then we realized like, oh my gosh, we're just giving out like nothing. There's just freebies, right? That's it. Right. And then at the same time, there is a level of where the front office and the doctor do have to retain them, right? It's not all on the market.
Oh yeah.
We do have to like try and retain them. So, but we were like, okay, there's a bunch of new patients. Then there was this one specific location. I want to say it was like a daycare where like the teachers were going in and it was like maybe 1 or 2 a month, but they were big cases every single month, consistently 1 or 2, and it would cover a ton of expenses. So we're like, let's keep that. Let's kind of slow it down or ditch the university a little bit, right? So that's how you kind of tracking would be the best thing. Honestly, you need to measure these things. You cannot just do this and say it feels good. I mean, that's nice that it feels good, but if you're not tracking it, then you're not, you don't know what you're doing.
You're wasting time and resources and money if you don't track to see if it works. Yeah. So that's really great. Those are 3 really key things that you should be tracking with any marketing, but specifically with this. So that's really great. The other piece to this that I wanted to touch on is retaining your current patients. Do you see a place for ground marketing to help retain current patients? Is there a way to get creative with that?
I think so, in the sense of like, so a lot of the times when, let's just say we went to like an LA Fitness, right? The first time. And then Katie, you came in and you signed up and then you came to the practice. You're like, yeah, cool. Then I go do the next event at LA Fitness again. A lot of the times you're like, hey, that's my dentist. Hey, what's up? Right. And then you're like, hey, cool. They're like, hey, yeah. Did you get your stuff from him? Did you get your stuff from that? So I don't know if that's retaining so much. That's more like referrals, right? Like, but social proof. And then people are like, oh, cool. Right. Like it builds a little community around that, because they're like, oh yeah, you've probably seen our dentist like around the town, or you've seen them or whatever. Right. Yeah. But when it comes to retention and ground marketing, I don't have a clear trigger or finger on the trigger on that, is what I mean. Because I feel like when it comes to retention, I feel like that's a lot of in-house, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of the patients, and I mean, not the patients, the team, front office, trying to make them happy, trying to continue to have them grow and grow with their patients.
So one thing that I would, as we were talking here and I was thinking about retaining patients, that I would propose, and most people would just think about this as their way of caring for their patients, but really it's ground marketing. And so my dad was a dentist, and he would take an actual interest in his patients' lives. So they're opening a restaurant. He's going there opening week. He has someone, like one of his ortho patients, that is in a concert. He goes to the concert, like, and all of those things was just him taking an interest in his patients' lives. But what better way to retain a patient than to show up to something that's important to them and also helps your practice succeed and thrive, because then they're going to be like, my dentist came to this. This is my dentist. So it's also referral, and it's also retaining patients. So that was just something that came to me as you were talking. I was thinking about what my dad did. And I mean, that takes a lot of effort, and a lot of dentists are busy. To ask them to go to something that their patient's doing is a big deal. But anyway, just keep that in mind.
No, that's true. Like, I forgot where I heard it, but like being a good human being is a lot of effort. Like it takes a lot, right? Meaning like you got to care a lot. You got to love a lot. You know what I mean? Like you want to be kind a lot. So I think what your dad was doing is like, he was being a good human being. Like he really.
And sometimes marketing gets a bad rap of like advertising. Like what we're saying is marketing is really just connecting with people with what the needs that you can provide them, right? And so if that means showing up to an opening of a restaurant, that's marketing in my opinion. But I don't know. Yeah. Well, awesome. So. Yeah, super great. I have learned a lot about ground marketing that I actually didn't, like things that I just never would have thought of, and you've opened up my mind to a lot of things. So I have no doubt the people that are listening have learned something. We ask the same question to every single one of our guests, and that is, what does growth in dentistry mean to you? The reason why we do that is because it can mean different things to everybody depending on where they are in the industry. So what does growth in dentistry mean to you, Michael? Or to the dental marketing team?
Growth in dentistry. Huh. I wish you would have sent me this question before, Kate. No,
I did.
No, just kidding. Growth in dentistry. From what I've experienced, I feel like growth in dentistry, you have to have a clear, in order to grow, I feel like you have to have a clear, specifically where you want to grow, clear like intent, right? I mean, clear intent leads to alignment, and vague direction produces misalignment almost every time.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to be clear with what you want to do, be specific, and execute. Oh my gosh, I can't express that enough, guys. Execution is easy if you work hard at it, and hard if you work easy at it. So you have to execute with every single clear intent that you have in order to be aligned. I hope that makes sense.
You came, that was phenomenal for the amount of time that you were given on that question. But I love what you said there, because really without action, none of it really matters. I mean, we can sit here and talk, and that's kind of why before, when we hopped on with the preface of giving some actionable advice, we can sit here and talk for another 2 hours about what we should do, but what's the point if it's not anything that we can actually do? So I love that. Really, really great. Well, this has been Growth in Dentistry, a dental intelligence podcast, and special thanks to my guest, Michael, from the dental marketing. That's just it. The dental marketer. I was going to say group for some reason. That's not the group, guys. It's the dental marketer. Yeah. How can they find you? Because you talked to me a little bit about a dental marketing university that would sound really interesting. Give us some information on that. And then what else can people find you?
Yeah, everybody can find me on thedentalmarketer.org, or you can just Google ground marketing. Or you can just look up the Dental Marketer podcast, right? But at the same time, we do have something called the Dental Marketing University. It was just the ground marketing course, which was beautiful and huge. But then we're like, hey, a lot of our members want more. Like they want to know how to make the most out of their schedule. So we brought on a couple of doctors who teach us how to drop PPOs, hybrid scheduling, how to make the most out of your schedule, how to do mailers. We have Aaron Boone teaching that. We have a lot of teachers in there. And so you just become a member like a regular university, and then you can join any of these courses or classes. And we do have still the ground marketing course in there where we continue to add. Every month we have our like mastermind calls and everything like that. So feel free to look that up too, or to join that. And then,
Perfect. So we'll have that information on our show notes as well, or you can find that at our growthindentistry.com webpage. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our marketing department on their work on this podcast. I'm Katie Poulsen. Keep growing.